Yesterday, I saw someone I vaguely know at the supermarket. Not a friend, not a stranger, the dangerous third category. We made eye contact from opposite ends of the cereal aisle, and immediately, both of us had to calculate what kind of greeting our relationship legally required. Do we wave? Do we walk over? Do we pretend we haven't seen each other? He chose a small nod. I attempted the same thing, but somehow added a smile and half a wave. It looked less like a greeting and more like I was directing a plane. Then we continued shopping in the same direction, which meant we met again in the next aisle. And the aisle after that, we had already used our one greeting. Nobody knows what you're supposed to do the third time. By the frozen vegetables, we were acting like two people trapped in a time loop. That's when I realized how much of social life is controlled by rules nobody ever explains. There are laws for driving. There are instructions for assembling furniture. My shampoo bottle tells me how to use shampoo. But society never gives you a manual for what to do when you say goodbye to someone and then discover you're both walking in the same direction. You just have to improvise. And apparently everyone else received the rules in a secret meeting I was not invited to. The first mystery is the greeting itself. Every relationship has a different greeting. A close friend gets enthusiasm, a colleague gets professionalism, a neighbor gets whatever facial expression communicates. I recognize you and have no complaints about the building. But the categories are never clear. How many conversations do you need before someone upgrades from hello to good to see you? When does a handshake become too formal? When does a hug become too ambitious? And why does the other person always choose a different option? I go for the handshake. They open their arms. I change to a hug. They notice my hand and change to a handshake. Now we are performing a very bad dance. Sometimes this creates the half hug, one arm, minimal torso contact, two careful taps on the back. It's the physical equivalent of accepting cookies on a website. You don't want it, but the interaction cannot continue until somebody clicks something. And greeting groups is even worse. You arrive at a table with 6 people. You know 2 of them well, 3 slightly, and 1 person is already eating soup. Do you hug everyone? Nobody? Only the 2 friends? You can't create a visible friendship ranking in front of the whole table. So you stand there saying hello to the entire room like a politician entering a factory. Then comes small talk. Small talk is a conversation where both people agree not to say anything too interesting. How are you? This looks like a question. It is not. There are only 3 approved answers. Good, fine, and if you are feeling dangerously honest, a bit tired. You cannot answer with your actual condition. How are you? Well, I've recently become concerned that my personality is mostly coping mechanisms. No. The other person was asking whether they could continue walking. But, how are you? Also cannot be ignored. You have to return it. Good, thanks. You? Now they say good. Excellent. We have successfully exchanged no information. Weather is popular because it is emotionally neutral and available to everyone. Cold today. Yes, we both came from outside. But if you don't mention the weather, you need another topic. And this is where the brain becomes completely empty. I have thoughts all day, thousands of them. But the moment I share an elevator with another person, every thought leaves my body. All I can produce is, busy day? I don't even know what that means. Busy with what? Existing? The elevator travels for 12 seconds. But socially, it lasts 3 financial quarters. Then there are names. When someone introduces themselves, I hear the name clearly. Hi, I'm Daniel. And while shaking Daniel's hand, my brain immediately deletes the information. Not later. During the handshake. I still know his face. I remember where we met. I may learn the names of his pets, but his own name has been securely removed for privacy reasons. The problem is that there is a limited period in which you are allowed to ask again. After 30 seconds. Sorry, what was your name? Completely normal. After 3 conversations, you can never ask. You must now maintain the relationship indefinitely without using their name. Hey you, my friend. There he is. You begin speaking like a bartender in an old film. If another person joins, there is a terrifying chance you will be expected to make introductions. Have you 2 met? This is Lisa, and this is also here. Digital communication has created even more rules. Text messages should have made social life easier. You can think before answering. You can reply when you have time. In theory. In reality, every message comes with invisible timing calculations. Reply immediately, and you may look as though you have been staring at the screen waiting for this exact person. Reply after 2 days, and it appears you crossed an ocean to avoid typing. Sounds good, so you wait a socially reasonable amount of time. But nobody knows what that amount is. 3 minutes? 20 minutes? The length of one documentary? And once you decide to answer, the tone has to be engineered. Okay, too angry. Okay, possibly sarcastic. Okay. Now something strange is happening. Okay, why am I smiling like that? What do I know? Punctuation has become emotional body language. A full stop can end a friendship. Sure. That person is not sure that person is standing outside your house. Even the number of exclamation marks matters. 1 is friendly, 2 are enthusiastic, 3 means either wonderful news or a pyramid scheme. And then you see the typing indicator. 3 little dots, the most powerful suspense device in modern storytelling. They type for 30 seconds. The dots disappear. They return. They disappear again. What are they writing? A confession, a legal statement, the final chapter of a novel. Then the message arrives. Haha, what happened to the previous drafts? Voice messages have their own system. Some people send a concise 12-second message. I'll be there at 7. See you. Perfect. Other people press record and begin a podcast. Hey, so, I wanted to ask you something, but first, wait, I'm just crossing the street anyway. Do you remember that person I told you about? Not the one from work. The other one. Hold on, I need to find my keys. The message is 8 minutes long. There are plot lines. There are background characters. At one point, wind destroys the audio for an entire scene. And now you have to send a response that proves you listened. You can't simply say, wow. Which part was wow? The work problem? The dentist? The missing keys? So you take mental notes like you're preparing questions for a press conference. Group chats are where all these rules become a government. Every group chat eventually develops official roles. One person responds to everything. One person sends only reactions. One person reads every message but has not written since 2021. And one person appears every 6 months to ask, does anyone know a good plumber? The hardest group message is an invitation. Who wants to come for dinner on Saturday? If you answer immediately, you may accidentally become the only confirmed guest. If you wait, everyone else is also waiting. Now, 12 adults are silently watching the message, each hoping someone else will establish whether this event is popular. Eventually, one brave person writes, sounds nice. Notice, not yes. This is diplomatic support without military commitment. Money introduces another set of invisible rules. You go to dinner with friends, the bill arrives. Suddenly, everyone becomes an accountant. Should we split it evenly? This is a reasonable suggestion unless you ordered water and everybody else ordered a small vineyard. But you also don't want to become the person calculating. I had 3 olives, but one was smaller. So you agree to split evenly while quietly saying goodbye to 12 euros. Then somebody pays for the table and says, just send me your part. How quickly? Immediately at the table? That feels aggressive. The next morning? Responsible? 3 weeks later? Now the payment needs an apology. And what description do you write in the transfer? Dinner is normal. An inside joke is friendly. A completely unexplained phrase is evidence in a future investigation. Somewhere in a bank, a compliance officer is looking at 12 payments marked Penguin Operation and preparing a meeting. Visiting someone's home may be the most advanced social exam. First, you must decide whether to bring something. Wine, flowers, chocolate? What if they don't drink? What if they have allergies? What if the flowers create work because now they need to find a vase? I once brought someone a plant. This seemed thoughtful until I realized I had given them a responsibility. Thank you for inviting me. Here is a living object you must keep alive. Then you arrive. Do you remove your shoes? You can ask, but hosts always say whatever you prefer. That is not useful. I prefer knowing the law. So you look at their feet, you look at the floor, you look for a pile of shoes near the door. You become a detective specializing in socks. Once inside, the host says, make yourself at home. Another sentence that is not meant literally. At home, I open the fridge. I adjust the lighting. I lie sideways on the sofa. You cannot do that here. Make yourself at home means sit in one approved location and require as little maintenance as possible. If they offer you a drink, you must accept on the correct attempt. Would you like something? No, I'm fine. Are you sure? Now you can say yes. Why did we need the first round? This is hospitality theater. The host must offer. The guest must briefly resist. Only then may water be legally transferred. Leaving is even more complicated than arriving. There is no natural end to a social visit. You cannot wait until everybody stops moving and the lights turn off. At some point, someone must begin the departure ritual. In Germany, this often starts with slapping both hands on your knees and saying, so, this one syllable means, our time together has been valuable, but I would now like to wear comfortable clothes. Then everybody stands up, but you do not leave. First comes the doorway conversation. You put on your coat and begin an entirely new topic. 10 minutes later, you move into the hallway. Another topic begins. Eventually, the door is open and cold air is entering the apartment. But somebody remembers a story about a cousin. Leaving a house is not an action. It is a multi-stage launch sequence. And if you leave at the same time as another guest, you may become temporary travel partners. You walk to the station together. Then your train arrives first, you say goodbye. But the doors don't open. Now you're standing beside each other after the official end of the conversation. Do you restart? Do you look at your phone? Do you preserve the goodbye by remaining silent? This is the public transport version of seeing someone again in the cereal aisle. The strangest rule is that everyone is afraid of being rude, but nobody can agree on what rude means. Is it rude to decline an invitation? Or is it ruder to accept and cancel later? Is it rude to leave a message unanswered? Or is a meaningless thumbs-up reaction worse? If someone shows you a photo on their phone, how long must you look at it? You can't glance for half a second. That looks dismissive. But if you study it for 20 seconds, it begins to look like you're searching for evidence. So you look for exactly 4 seconds and say, "Oh, nice," even if the photo is not nice. Sometimes it's a parking space. People say, just be yourself, but society clearly wants a heavily edited version of yourself. Be honest, but not too honest. Be enthusiastic, but remain calm. Be available, but not immediately. Make yourself at home, but do not open the fridge. Social life is a game where every instruction contains a second, invisible instruction. And I used to think other people understood all of this naturally. I imagined confident adults moving through conversations with perfect timing, always choosing the correct greeting and remembering every name. But then I started paying attention. Everyone misses the handshake. Everyone forgets names. Everyone rewrites a 2-word message 3 times. The person hosting dinner is also wondering when to serve the food. The person sending the invitation is also staring at the silent group chat. The person asking, "How are you?" may genuinely have no idea what to say next. We are not following a perfect system. We are trying to make one another comfortable with incomplete information. And maybe that is what politeness actually is. Not knowing every hidden rule. Just noticing when another person is also uncertain and making the moment a little easier for them. Laughing when the hug goes wrong. Repeating your name without making it awkward. Giving a clear answer in the group chat so everybody else can stop waiting. So the next time I see someone I vaguely know in a supermarket, I have a plan. I will say hello properly. I will ask how they are. I may even survive a short conversation beside the cereal. And if we meet again in the next aisle, I will not panic. I will simply say, "Welcome back," unless they go in for a hug. Then the plane is landing again.